All right, please welcome Dr. Karyn Gordon. We're not talking chocolate anymore. Hi.
Oh my goodness, that's so fun.
That was very exciting
You
for
know
me.
what? That was a very exciting segment. I
Yes,
got to tell you,
was.
it makes me want to actually jump in the kitchen. That was just
I know,
excellent
right?
as always.
Well, you just came back from vacation. You still have the glow, so it's
I know,
nice
I'm
to
so
have
relaxed.
that relaxation.
Yeah.
But since we're talking about love and exploring love and all of its different aspects, we thought we would talk a bit about online dating. A huge thing with so many City Line viewers. A lot of people, this is the way they are connecting in this day and age. It is online. So before we even get to some tips, I want to talk about what our viewers have been saying, because we threw it out there. They sent out a lot, and we asked for advice. Like, what is the advice you'd give someone who is thinking of online dating? And it's everything from Anita saying, don't do it, to Stephanie saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Profile pics work both ways these days. So if you're putting something up, understand they're judging you on your photo, so don't be so quick to judge on their photo. Amy says, be cautious, truthful, give it a fair shot. Jen says, I met my husband on a dating website. That's a good story. Advice, always meet in a public place. You never know who they really are. So all sorts of different comments coming from viewers. Let's talk about what we need to remember when it comes to online dating.
Well, tip number one, it was actually interesting. When we were in Mexico last week, and we ended up hanging out with this really great couple from California that we met down there, and they were actually just had celebrated their 3-year anniversary, and they actually had met online.
Nice.
And what they actually were telling us is they were two fairly busy professionals. They basically said online was the only way to do it because they simply had no time. It really became like a time factor. So tip number one is realizing if you are now single and you're wanting to meet somebody, it really is one of the fastest, best ways, I think, just to kind of find out where the fish are.
Yeah.
You know, like, actually, it's interesting. This Saturday, we've got one of my good friends. She's single. She's in her 40s. She tried the online dating. She kind of struggled with, but what she's actually doing is actually having a party where to come to her party on Saturday, you have to bring a single guy.
Are you serious?
Yes, I know. So if anybody has somebody who is single, I'm looking for someone single to be my date to bring to the party.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know,
and
because
proactive.
And proactive.
That's what I like about it.
Well, you know, and just kind of think it's thinking out of the box, right? It's thinking out of the box. And the idea is that she had tried online dating, and I think my whole thing with it is that I think it has to be a multi. You know, I wouldn't just recommend people just to do online dating. I think you have to kind of do it in a multi. You know, try a lot of different things.
Right. For sure.
But number one is realizing, really accept the fact this is the way that it is. I mean, the way that it is. Really, I mean, if you're going to be single and you're going to want to find somebody, you've got to start exploring and not to be judgmental about it.
Right, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Don't be judgmental
Would you do
about
it? We've talked about this before.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
You would do it.
I'm all about efficiency. So if I'm in a situation where I want efficiency, I don't want to be rolling the dice and putting on a cute top every night to go to another club. Like, and also that's probably not the man that I want to be meeting. Like, I would rather meet him at Indigo Bookstore than meet him in a club. And then what are the chances of that happening? So yes, absolutely.
You would do it. I would do it too. I would do it too.
I think that it's really hard. I've seen a lot of my friends going through it, and I think it is difficult because you start doubting your own judgment. You're like, why am I attracting this when you get the weirdos? But a lot of people say you just have to keep going through the process.
You have to go through it, and that kind of leads me to tip number two, is you got to be smart about it.
Right.
You got to be smart. There are so many fish, and I think part of the problem is that there's so many fish that people, it's like kind of navigating all the different fish.
Yeah.
So you want to be really selective. I really like kind of niche websites. I like, we were talking backstage, you know, like depending with what your values are. If you're Christian, you can kind of do a Christian site. If you're Jewish, you can do a Jewish site. You can do, you know, like the eHarmonies with like the different personality types. There's kind of like these different niche ones, and I actually find it kind of takes this down to this.
Absolutely.
So tip number two is really be selective. What exactly are you looking for? What are the values that you're looking for? And which site is going to kind of bring attract that kind of fish to it? Versus going kind of to the mass kind of websites, which I think can be a little bit confusing.
Yeah, narrow it down for yourself because you know what you want. You know that those the main tenets that you want to have in a partner. Now, you say to take the pressure off a little bit, so maybe have some fun with the process.
Have some fun with it. I mean, I think that's part of it, is that people put a lot of pressure on themselves going, oh my goodness, I've got to find my husband, I've got to find my partner. And, you know, I think we're seeing this a lot with the people who have been successful with. They just kind of took the pressure off. I'm going to have some fun with it. And if I don't meet my partner or boyfriend, that's fine. I'm just going to meet some friends. And a lot of times when people are single or they're recently divorced, their social network has shifted. All of a sudden they had a couple friends and they're kind of on their own. They're looking for kind of a new network. So use the site for that as well. You know, if you want to have like a tennis partner, a running partner, you can actually kind of use it not just for actually finding a partner. And I think that way just kind of allows people to kind of relax and have a little bit more fun. It is kind of like the bar online.
That's right.
But you just got to be careful and selective. And the other really big important thing I would recommend is that once you do start connecting with people, try to move off of email quickly, because you can waste a lot of time. That's what a lot of people say. You can kind of end up wasting a lot of time with one person. You email back and forth, and finally have a conversation. You're like, gosh, there's no chemistry here at all.
Right.
So if you feel like there's a connection, just kind of take yourself to the next level and actually have that conversation, and then to do something kind of fun, meet for coffee, do a sport together, but actually do that face to face.
Mel from online says, don't spend your time getting to know the person online. If you have a good vibe after a few messages, meet up. # take a chance. And Janet says, be 100% honest about who you are and what you want. Think safety, have fun. I've been with my online date for 14 years. I'm just going to add to that. If you are going out there and trying to take it a little bit lighter, are you sending a mixed message if really what you want is to get married?
Well, put it this way: when you're dating, whether or not you're 20s or your 40s, I think anybody who has that kind of pressure, it's like a flag for people. I mean, there's I think that fine line between you want to be honest and authentic, but you don't want to be like desperate and kind of like I think it scares people off. I think if you kind of go into it just a little bit more relaxed, and yes, that is kind of the end goal. But I'm a really big advocate in starting with friendship first, regardless.
Yeah, I know.
Like if you have that friendship as a foundation, then regardless if you're friends or you go to partnership, there's still something there.
Yeah, it's true. I've never had that in my personal life, but I understand people are all about that. Speaking of romance, have you ever had a friendship go from platonic to romantic? Okay, email us your stories to submissions@cityline.ca, and we promise we'll keep them anonymous. We're not trying to embarrass anyone.